Hello, my name is Kevin Wolgemuth, and this is my game-based learning assignment for EDT 6010. So let's get started. For this assignment, I will be focusing on Central Idea, which is a standard for 6th grade English language arts. This is a standard that has been introduced in elementary school and is a focus of almost every grade level leading up to 6th grade. But this year we try to get a little more complex in the nature of how we teach it. So I want to use deck toys for this assignment. So I have designed a deck toys. It is a interactive page where students move through various activities. They unlock keys, they earn points, and you can embed almost anything you can imagine into the activities. But first, let me show you where they will start. So students will start on our English Language Arts Schoology page, and I have a folder created called Central Idea Deck Toys. This folder is currently unpublished because I do not want students to be completing this activity until I am ready to push it out to the class when we get to this portion of our Central Idea lesson. So when they enter the folder, students will complete a pre-assessment discussion where they answer this prompt. Please use this discussion board to share what you currently know about what the central idea of a text is and how you can identify it. Although this is a discussion board, when students are typing their original post, they will not be able to see what their classmates have already posted because I want to know what their prior knowledge of central idea is. After they post it, they will be able to see what their classmates have said, and then we can share and talk about our preconceptions of central idea. But I do want their original post to be their own thoughts and not to be focused on what their classmates are typing, which can happen in a discussion board forum. So once they complete the pre-assessment, they will be prompted to follow this link to a Central Idea Deck Toys. When they click that link, they will be asked to log in. And because on my Deck Toys account, I use the free version, students are always prompted to sign in as a guest because there is a limit to how many students can use a certain deck toy on the free version. I think it's around 50, but I have about 110 students and they will all be engaging in the deck toy when I push this out. So I will need them to sign in as a guest so we do not reach that number. But the activities in the deck toy all have them log in with their school-based Google account, and then I will track the data using that method, so it won't end up being too big of a deal. Or they can use their real name when they sign in as a guest instead of, it'll prompt you with an avatar here, but you can always prompt them to use their actual name, so then you can track the actual analytics from the deck toy. So when they join, this is what they will see. They will have to start here, and that prompts them to escape the deck. So essentially that you could use this as somewhat of an escape room, a virtual escape room, which is how I've used it in the past, but you do not need to do it that way. It can certainly just be like a learning center based activity. So let's get started. This one already has some of my progress mapped through as I was practicing with this, just making sure it would work for students. But typically they would have to start here before any of this would be open. So when they start here, they're prompted to escape the deck. Then they will move on to the next step, which is an introduction. And this is where I have embedded the introduction to our lesson through Pear Deck. Pear Deck is an interactive slides tool that can be asynchronous or synchronous. In this case, it is asynchronous. So students will typically be prompted to log in with their Google account, but then it is free to be involved with. They don't need to have a license. Any Pear Deck can be opened by them as long as they have a Google account. So they log in, and then they will see the title of our slide for Central Idea, which is accompanied by summarizing. They will see our essential question, our lesson objectives, and then they will get started with the lesson vocabulary, where they will match these vocab words with the definitions. They will try to, and then they will be given the correct matches. So then they can compare what they did with this. Then they will move along and they will continue to work through some of that new vocabulary and be introduced to central idea. They will answer a true and false question here. And then they are ready to move on and they will click this arrow. Now, all of the data on this Pear Deck will be collected on Pear Deck's website for me to view, and it will be associated with the student's Google account, so I'll be able to monitor that. When they finish, they will summarize what they learned from the opening Pear Deck by clicking this, and then they can type. And when they finish that, they will move on, and then they will be prompted to come here to this next step, where they will watch a video, which is about a strategy for how they find central idea, which they will need to use that strategy later on in the deck toys. You will see that each time they finish a activity, they are given points, and there are also keys associated with each activity. So you can see these locks here. They need to finish this activity where they get a bronze key, and they will need that bronze key for which path they choose, whether it's here or here, to unlock that. So they will not be able to move forward unless they complete this activity in its entirety. So once they finish this one, I'm going to go back to my dashboard so I can navigate this without having to do everything on here. Oh, sorry. Here we go. So once they watch that video on the strategy and they summarize it, they will choose their path. This is where a little bit of differentiation comes into play, but I let the students pick which path they feel comfortable with. So if they move to the right, it will be more difficult, or if they move to the left, it will be less difficult. So close that. All right, so this is where they are introduced to more of their vocabulary, not only for the specific central idea lesson, but for the whole unit that central idea is a part of, which is the informative essay unit. This path is for students who would like more of a challenge. This path is for students who feel like they are not ready for a challenge and they would like to take a little bit of an easier one, but each path contains the same amount of steps and games, but it is a little more difficult, this path. It's a little more rigorous. So let's check this out. So again, they need a key that they got in this activity to enter their flashcards. So once they enter, they're prompted to unlock, and then they will just practice with their flashcards. They have to do that in their entirety before they move on. And it's the same thing right here. And it's the same thing over here. They're going to read some passages. Now they will read a passage about wolves, and they will identify the central idea and answer some multiple choice questions. Again, to move forward, they will have to answer all of these questions correctly. And if they get it wrong, they'll get another opportunity, but they will not be able to move forward until they get the right answer. So they're going to read these passages carefully, and they're going to use the strategy that was introduced right here, the win strategy, to answer these questions about central idea. These passages mirror each other. These passages are just a little more higher lexile level than this one where they're introduced. As students move through, they will be rewarded points for their efforts, and each step will unlock the next. So this step is a maze where they match each definition of their vocabulary words with their correlating word, and they have to find their way through this maze to complete that step. Okay, let me go back in quick. When they are finished moving through these steps, they will be prompted to merge back to their finishing path, where they will complete a flip grid make that full screen, where they will essentially create a response to the post-assessment that will be compared to the pre-assessment, which they did on the Schoology discussion board. So in this, they will tell me what they learned today about central idea, and then they will share what aspect of the lesson that they enjoyed the most, and which ones they did not, and they will record this, and then after they record, they will be able to view what their classmates have posted through the Flipgrid. Okay. All right, so that is my game-based learning assignment that I created for Central Idea for 6th grade English Language Arts, and I hope that you enjoy trying out deck toys in the future. Thank you.